Russia-Ukraine war has shown how swarms of drones can change the tide of the war. Our next story tells us how Russia is preparing a million-plus army of drone pilots.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the complex and often intense world of international affairs. The United States plays a major role in global conflicts, and two of the most pressing issues right now are the Russia-Ukraine war and the escalating tensions in the Middle East. These conflicts aren't just headlines, they're shaping the world we live in, and they have huge implications for global security, economics, and diplomacy. So whether you're a politics buff or just curious about what's going on in the world, this video is for you. Grab your favorite, sit back, and let's get into it. And hey, if you find this video informative or thought-provoking, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Let's get started. Let's start with the Russia-Ukraine war, which has been one of the most significant global conflicts since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. This war isn't just a regional crisis, it's a global one, with far-reaching consequences for international security, energy markets, and food supplies. The United States has been a key player in supporting Ukraine. Here's how. 1. Military aid. The US has provided billions of dollars in military assistance, including weapons like HIMARS rocket systems, Javelin anti-tank missiles, and advanced air defense systems. This support has been crucial in helping Ukraine defend itself against Russian aggression. 2. Economic aid. The US has also sent billions in financial aid to help Ukraine's government function and rebuild critical infrastructure destroyed in the war. 3. Diplomatic support. The US has led efforts to isolate Russia on the global stage, imposing severe economic sanctions and rallying allies to do the same. You might be wondering, why is the US so invested in this conflict? Here are a few reasons. Global security. If Russia succeeds in Ukraine, it could embolden other authoritarian regimes to pursue similar aggressive actions, destabilizing the world order. NATO commitment. Ukraine is not a NATO member, but many of its neighbors are. The US has a vested interest in preventing the conflict from spilling over to NATO territory, which could trigger a broader war. Economic impact. The war has disrupted global energy and food supplies, contributing to inflation and economic instability worldwide, including in the US. While US support for Ukraine has been strong, it's not without challenges. Cost. The financial and military aid to Ukraine has been expensive, and some Americans are questioning how long the US can sustain this level of support. Escalation risks. There's always the fear that too much involvement could escalate the conflict, potentially drawing the US into direct confrontation with Russia. Domestic politics. Support for Ukraine has become a partisan issue, with some Republicans arguing that the US should focus on its own problems rather than getting involved in foreign conflicts. Now let's turn to the Middle East, a region that's no stranger to conflict. Recent tensions have been fueled by a mix of historical grievances, geopolitical rivalries, and economic struggles. Here are some of the key flashpoints. The long-standing conflict between Israel and Palestine has seen renewed violence in recent years. The US has traditionally been a strong ally of Israel, providing billions in military aid and diplomatic support. However, the Biden administration has also called for a two-state solution and criticized Israeli settlement expansion in the West Bank. The situation remains volatile, with periodic clashes between Israeli forces and Palestinian groups like Hamas. The US is walking a tightrope, trying to support Israel while also advocating for Palestinian rights and stability in the region. Another major issue is Iran's nuclear program. The US has been trying to revive the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, also known as the Iran nuclear deal, which was abandoned by the Trump administration in 2018. The goal is to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons, but negotiations have been fraught with challenges. Iran's support for militant groups in the region, like Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen, further complicates matters. The US is also concerned about Iran's growing influence in countries like Syria and Iraq. The civil war in Yemen is another major crisis. The conflict, which began in 2014, pits the Saudi-backed government against the Iran-backed Houthi rebels. The US has been involved primarily through its support for Saudi Arabia, including arms sales and logistical assistance. However, the war has caused a humanitarian catastrophe, with millions facing famine and disease. There's growing pressure on the US to reassess its role and push for a peaceful resolution. The US maintains a significant military presence in the Middle East, with bases in countries like Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. This presence is aimed at countering terrorism, protecting oil supplies, and deterring aggression from regional power like Iran. But there's also a growing debate about whether the US should reduce its footprint in the region. Some argue that the Middle East is no longer as strategically important as it once was, while others warn that pulling back could create a power vacuum, leading to even more instability. So, what's the bigger picture here? Why does the US get involved in these conflicts? And what are the implications for the world? The US sees itself as a global leader with a responsibility to promote peace, stability, and democracy. This means getting involved in conflicts that threaten these values, even if they're far from American shores. Many of these conflicts have direct economic implications for the US. For example, the Middle East is a major source of oil, and instability in the region can lead to higher gas prices at home. Similarly, the Russia-Ukraine war has disrupted global food supplies, contributing to inflation. The US also has a moral obligation to help those affected by war and conflict, whether it's providing aid to Ukrainian refugees or supporting humanitarian efforts in Yemen. The US plays a key role in alleviating suffering around the world. Of course, US involvement in global conflicts is not without risks. There's always the danger of mission creep, where limited involvement escalates into a larger, more costly engagement. There's also the risk of unintended consequences, like empowering extremist groups or destabilizing regions further. So, what can we do as individuals? Here are a few ways to stay informed and engaged. 1. Educate yourself. Follow reliable news sources and stay updated on global events. 2. Support humanitarian efforts. Donate to organizations providing aid to those affected by conflict. 3. Advocate for peace. Contact your representatives and urge them to support diplomatic solutions over military intervention. 4. Spread awareness. Share videos like this one to help others understand the complexities of global conflicts. Alright, that's a wrap for today's video. We've covered a lot: US involvement in the Russia-Ukraine war, tensions in the Middle East, and the broader implications of these conflicts. The takeaway: the world is more interconnected than ever, and what happens in one part of the globe can have ripple effects everywhere else. If you found this video informative or thought-provoking, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and drop a comment below telling me your thoughts on involvement in global conflicts. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and let's keep working toward a more peaceful world. Bye for now.